I love written in school corridors. There are places in this world that hold time differently. Old libraries, childhood kitchens, and school corridors. Those long, echoing stretches of linoleum and painted brick that somehow manage to contain the largest feelings a human heart will ever produce, pressed between the smell of chalk dust and the distant sound of a lunch bell. Arjun knew every inch of the corridor outside room 14. He had walked it for 3 years, past the faded mural of a tree that someone had painted in 1987, past the notice board with its fluttering edges, past the water fountain that always ran slightly too cold. He knew it so well he could walk it with his eyes closed. But he had never truly seen it until the September morning Leila arrived. Deepa. She came mid-term, which is the hardest time to arrive anywhere, the social geometry of the classroom already set, friendships already calcified, the invisible rules of every corridor and lunch table already written in a language she didn't yet speak. She stood outside the head teacher's office with a canvas bag on her shoulder and a paperback tucked under her arm, and she was looking at the mural of the tree with an expression Arjun couldn't quite name. He slowed as he passed. "The roots are wrong," she said without looking at him. He stopped. "Sorry?" She pointed at the mural. Whoever painted it made the roots decorative, but real roots don't look like that. They go deep and sideways, they take up more space underground than the tree does above. They painted the beautiful part and left out the true part. He stared at the mural he had walked past 1,000 times and saw it, suddenly, completely differently. "Arjun," he said. "Leila," she said, and finally looked at him. "Spanutsu." They became friends the way you only can at 17, completely, recklessly, with no strategy and no self-protection. Within 2 weeks they were eating lunch on the steps behind the gymnasium, swapping books and arguing about them, developing an entire private vocabulary made of inside references and half-finished sentences the other always completed. She was the daughter of a literature professor raised in 3 countries, fluent in 4 languages, and the particular loneliness of never quite belonging anywhere. He was the son of a secondary school maths teacher, rooted in this town like those wrong-painted roots, knowing every person on every street but feeling somehow that none of them truly saw him. They saw each other. That was the thing, the terrifying, irreversible thing. He noticed the way she folded down the corners of pages she loved, then felt guilty and tried to smooth them back. She noticed the way he tapped his pen against his knee in a specific rhythm when he was thinking hard. Always the same rhythm, like a private Morse code. He brought her books from his father's shelves. She brought him words from other languages for feelings English hadn't bothered to name. The corridor outside room 14 became theirs. They met there every morning between first and second period, leaning against the wall below the wrong-rooted tree, talking until the bell made them scatter. It was 10 minutes. Most mornings it was the best 10 minutes of his day. Face. He didn't tell her he loved her. This is the part that aches most in the remembering. He told himself he was waiting for the right moment, but the truth, the kind of truth you can only admit years later, was that he was afraid. Not of rejection exactly, but of losing what they had. What they had was so precisely, achingly good that the thought of it changing in any direction felt like standing at the edge of something and not knowing if you'd fall or fly. So he wrote instead. He filled half a notebook with things he would have said to her, the observations and declarations and small tender noticings that accumulated like snowfall. He wrote about the way she laughed at her own jokes a half-second before the punchline. He wrote about the afternoon she fell asleep in the library and he sat across from her for 20 minutes, not studying, just watching the afternoon light move across her face, feeling something so large and quiet that it seemed to have no name in any of her 4 languages. He never showed her the notebook. He hid it at the back of his desk drawer under old exam papers where it sat in the dark with all its undelivered words. OEPE. March came, and with it the news she had been half expecting. Her father's appointment at a university in Edinburgh, effective the following term. She told Arjun on a Tuesday, leaning against the wall outside room 14, and he watched her face carefully. She was trying to be practical about it, trying to fold it down the way she folded her page corners, smooth it back into something manageable. Leila, he said. I know, she said quietly, before he could continue. They stood in silence for a long moment. Around them the corridor moved and swelled with students, lockers slamming, someone laughing too loudly, a teacher calling a name. The ordinary noise of ordinary life, indifferent to the fact that something irreplaceable was quietly ending 10 feet from the wrong-rooted tree. I wrote things down, he said finally. About you, about us. I have a whole notebook. She looked at him. Why didn't you show me? I was afraid of the wrong moment. She was quiet. Then, there's no such thing as the wrong moment, Arjun. There's only the moment you have. Ah! He gave her the notebook on her last day. She read 3 pages standing in the corridor, and he watched her cry without trying to hide it, which was one of the bravest things he had ever seen. Then she reached into her canvas bag and pulled out her own paperback, the same one she'd been carrying the morning they met, and opened it to the inside back cover. It was filled, margin to margin, with her handwriting, months of it, things she had noticed about him, things she had felt. The same undelivered words, written in parallel in the same darkness, never shown. They stood there holding each other's confessions, 2 people who had been writing love letters to each other without knowing it, the corridor loud around them and completely irrelevant. Some loves are not measured in what they become. Some are measured in what they were, in 10 minutes between bells, in a mural with wrong roots, in 2 notebooks full of handwriting that proved undeniably that someone had truly, completely seen you. That is its own kind of forever. The corridor outside room 14 still stands. The tree is still painted wrong. And somewhere, in 2 cities, 2 people still carry the shape of that corridor inside them, the best, most aching, most formative 10 minutes of any morning they have ever known.